Welcome to the Traders Show. This episode is brought to you by Paperstone.
So hello traders, welcome back to another show. So this is episode 55, 56, I'm not sure. But today we're lucky to be joined by a guest. So today we won't be talking much about the financial markets or trading, which is our main world. Today we are coming back into business. We've always been interested in business. And today we're lucky to have a very, very beautiful guest who's going to share with us her experiences in business. She has a ton of experience and knowledge that is going to be of value to you guys. And we hope you learn and enjoy the show. So I'll do the introduction and then we'll just jump into the show and we'll talk about different aspects of business and different things she has done with her life. So let me just read something to introduce the guest. So today's guest is Ayushi Chandaria. Ayushi is a Stanford University graduate with a passion for sharing the knowledge she gained at school here in Kenya. Using insights from her computer science and product design degree, she has successfully run design thinking, social impact and innovation programs in Alliance Girls High School and USIU, with plans for more in the future. The program is built to equip young people with the necessary entrepreneurial thinking skills required to survive in the current business environment. She was also a business analyst at McKinsey and Company for over a year before leaving to pursue her master's degree at Harvard Business School. This serves as an opportunity to build on her passion for business and entrepreneurship. I should mention she has accomplished all this at the tender age of just 24 years. So I personally met Ayushi about 2 months ago, and she's very, very humble. That's one thing that I'll give to her, and I'll say if you meet her in the street, you actually can't know she has accomplished what she has accomplished. And I hope you guys will learn and have a wonderful time listening to the show. So Ayushi, welcome to the show.
Thank you guys. It's so lovely and so exciting to be here.
Okay.
I'm very excited.
Okay, so thank you. So as you guys can see, actually we're doing the show virtually. So currently Ayushi is not around the country, so that's why we couldn't have her on set. But we decided she had something to share and we had scheduled to share it today. So let's just do it virtually. It's the first one we've done virtually actually, and we hope it will be wonderful and we will have more guests like this. So Caleb, start us off with the first question.
Yeah, so guys, welcome to the show. I won't waste much time because we are short on time, but welcome to today's show. We're happy to have Ayushi with us, and yeah, let's just get straight into it. So Ayushi, describe your early days in Stanford University. How is it like? How did you get to go there, and how is it studying in the US?
Yeah, so I always knew I wanted to go to Stanford. My dad also went to Stanford, so it was a dream school of mine since I was a kid.
Okay.
I went to Stanford in 2016, and actually I joined as I thought a computer science or a maths major.
Yeah.
I was, went in very sure about what I wanted to do. And it's only as I actually joined the university, I took classes, did I really realize what I really wanted to do? Did I get introduced to product design? And did I decide okay, this is something I want to get into, learn more about and build a future on.
Okay. So you basically, when you were first joining to just pursue computer science, and then when you got there, you discover that there's more than what you had initially thought. So you changed from computer science to product design, right?
A bit like that. So basically, the American system allows you don't have to decide your degree first. It allows you to take class anything you want. And I think that was such a valuable experience for me because I took classes in a lot of different areas: psychology, product design, engineering, economics. And finally, I realized that whilst computer science was fun and really useful, I realized product design allowed you to mix creativity with logic, which was the combination which just worked for me.
Okay.
And how is it comparing the education there and the local one here in Kenya? What's the big difference? What can you say you can take home or that guys can look forward to if they come travel and study in the US? Sorry, yeah?
Yes, I went to school in Singapore actually.
Okay.
So I'm not too familiar with the high school education system in Kenya, but I will say USIU, where we've been running this program, has a very similar model to the United States.
Okay.
So it is a liberal arts college. You can take classes in anything. And I think that just allows you to really figure out what you like, because at 17 or 18, I don't think people have a clear idea of what they really like. Some might, some might not.
Yeah.
But I think having the option to re-explore is really useful.
And do you find it Do you find it like the way you've said you studied in Singapore, now you're in the US? Do you find it a good way to study, like traveling in different countries, learning different cultures, being with different people? Is it a good thing?
I think so. So for me, one thing was also like moving to the US, meeting people from here, merging cultures. But another was like, I think education is also about building life skills and leaving home, like living alone for the first time, having to figure out my own life in a new place. I think that was also a really big part of education for me.
Okay. So what critical lessons did you pick from your time at Stanford, from your courses? Because often when people talk about being in Stanford, what they mostly talk about is the people they met and the things, the influence they got from those people. So what was your experience being there?
As well as the tutors, because when we're normally here, we normally see like billionaires of people who have really made it in their fields coming to give talks at Stanford and all that. Yeah, so to top it off,
personally, and I've touched on this a bit earlier, I think the big thing I learned was be flexible, be open to trying new things. And that comes from like where I thought I was going to do one major and I switched to product design. And before I went to Stanford, I didn't know design thinking, product design. I didn't know these things existed. So for me, I think the biggest thing was, one, be open, be flexible. Two, it's like willing to like change around your schedule, like try and like figure out what you like and customize things to yourself. Because it's so easy to get put into like a ready-made path for you, which is something I like fought at Stanford, and I like figured out how to, change my schedule around, like put together classes which really worked for me. I think that's something I've learned. And lastly, it's the people. You are an average of the people you spend the most time with.
For sure.
Amazing friends. I got to work with really cool teachers, really cool advisors as well. My major advisor was actually the founder of IDEO, a design firm, who actually also is partnered with us in the program in Kenya. And he was always like, yes, you should do whatever you want, like whatever you love. He was very like unrigid, and I thought that really helped me figure out what I wanted to do and how I wanted to approach life.
So you actually fell in love with product development? Design, I mean, sorry.
Yeah, more design, I think. And even more than product design, I realized how, I can mix like creativity with logic, as I said earlier. And that allowed like sides of me to work together. And that plus I also realized design thinking is a tool that can be used in anything. So I took a class called Design Your Life, which just was design thinking for your own life. And I realized how just design thinking as a tool can be used anywhere. It's not just in engineering, not just in like making a product, but really in anything you want, which I thought was a really cool, powerful tool.
Nice, interesting. And what were the challenges of studying in Stanford?
So, I mean, for me personally, I think it was a different country. Like I moved all the way from Singapore to America. There was a cultural shock, and also I was like I did miss going home. I missed my parents. I think that was probably the biggest challenge for me at Stanford. I think in terms of like work and classes, I think, you arrive on campus and everything's like big and like crazy, and like for me, I was mildly intimidated, but I think that dies down very quickly because you realize everyone is like lovely, like everyone's so humble, so helpful. So the biggest challenge definitely was the fact I was, 16 hours away from home.
And the culture shock.
Culture shock, less so a little bit, but more was the fact like I was really far from family.
And what specifically about the culture shock really moved you from when you landed? Like what was so different about the culture that really shocked you?
So I just think, American culture is a lot more free, independent. And I think in Singapore, also I was home with my parents. I definitely think I was in a little bubble. Very safe, very like easy to get around. Like I think I went from like a small bubble to like a big world. But I think, the culture shock was not as huge. I'd visited before. I did a swimming camp at Stanford. As well. So I was not that like unaccustomed to American culture.
So after you cleared school, you left now to join McKinsey, right? So tell us more about how you moved now from being at Stanford as a student, graduated and got into McKinsey.
Yes, I think timing wise, it was probably a bit unique for me.
Yeah.
I graduated online actually in Singapore because of COVID.
Yeah.
We were kicked off. I ended up taking a 6-month like semi gap year. Not that I could travel because of COVID, but I interned at an architecture firm in Singapore.
Yeah.
And then I finally started in 2021 at McKinsey, and I started online. I was in New York, but everything was online. So I think for me, that was, learning how to navigate Zoom, like meeting people in the business world for the first time online as well.
Yeah.
I think that was something just like an interesting experience. And as the year progressed, I think it, got better. I got to meet actual people, like in person. I got to experience what business meetings were like. I got to be on a range of projects as well.
Yeah.
So I worked like healthcare, in tech, in like private equity, in banking and insurance. So I did a range of projects as well.
So
And I'm not sure you guys know what like a business analyst at McKinsey is, but you're basically a consultant.
Okay.
And every 10 to 12 weeks, you get staffed on a different project.
Yeah.
And it can range anywhere from strategy to implementation to due diligence.
Okay.
So the people at McKinsey are the ones who choose that for you. It's not a personal choice. They jog you around different departments.
So it's a mix of a choice. So there is a staffing manager I had who would staff me, especially initially. And then I think as you get more tenured, you spend more time at the firm, people that you can probably staff yourself.
Okay.
So like say my last project, I actually did in Singapore because I hadn't been for a while. I knew a few people in the Singapore office who I reached out to. And I was like, hey, I really want to do a project in Singapore because I want to see family. Can you help me out?
Okay. But I'm assuming as much as you're working in different fields, the processes and the steps that you take to analyze a business and to do the strategy or whatever you're doing are more or less the same, not very, very different, right?
Paperstone gives you access into the global markets with more trading opportunities, first-class customer service, and peace of mind. Withdrawals are quick, and for those in Kenya, M-Pesa is enabled. Paperstone Markets Kenya is regulated by the Capital Markets Authority. To open an account with Paperstone and begin your trading, click the link on the description below.
Yeah, so I think that the mindset and the way you think about it, people at McKinsey think about things, you've basically learned the mindset. But the projects, a bank to a private equity firm to like a healthcare firm. And I think every time I went from to a different client, I think I had to learn like the industry all over again.
Okay. So let's move away now from your role in business and your role at school. Let's come back to what you've been doing now for this country, what you've been doing around Kenya. So how did you come up with the design thinking program? Or first of all, even what is the design thinking program and how did you even set it up in Kenya?
Okay, so as I mentioned, like when I was talking about my major product design thinking is like a user-centric way of thinking.
Yeah.
It's a problem-solving tool where you actually like think about who you're solving the problem for first.
Yeah.
So say I was solving a problem for you, instead of me deciding what your problem is, I would actually like spend time with you, talk to you, follow you, hang out with you, and trying to really understand what problems you are facing, as opposed to what I think are the problems you're facing.
Yeah.
And then I would start solving a problem for you, taking you into account. So like, I'd test my product with you, I'd ask for your input. I would be working almost with you to like create a final product that I know will be useful to you. So I think it's a slightly different way of solving. And I just realized it's so useful, especially in Kenya where there's so many budding entrepreneurs who, want to take their company to the next level, launch a company. And I think a lot of times people come up with an idea which they think is a good idea, but they don't know it's a good idea for who their final user is.
Yeah.
And I think just realizing like in Kenya, there's so many budding entrepreneurs, so many people who want to like go out, create a company, make impact, for them to start learning how to like find problems that users are actually facing, as opposed to what they think is like a cool idea, I thought was so important. Again, also because design thinking works directly with the user and works through empathy, I think the social impact part of design thinking is much higher too. I think a lot of problems solved by design thinking are related or in the social impact space.
Okay.
And that's something which I'm very passionate about. I've done a lot of social impact stuff like volunteering in Kenya.
Yeah.
I was probably 5 years old. So I think this was something I wanted to address too. And I realized like creating a program in design thinking, innovation, and social impact was a way to like kind of put all of these together, give people who wanted to create impact in Kenya the tools to do so. So that's a little bit about why we started the program. I started it in 2019 in high schools, but with COVID, that closed down because we couldn't have extracurriculars going on whilst COVID, like, students could barely get their classes in online. And then I realized, like, honestly, a better age to work with is probably university students. They have the resources, like the capacity to actually take the business out into the real world. So this is why we came up with this 10-week program at USIU. And really want to use it to give the skills to anyone who wants to start creating a business, who wants to really solve problems for the community. We want to give them the tools, give them the resources, and really teach them about design thinking and how they can hopefully use this in their future.
And the program, as you're running it in USIU, how the 10-week program, how does it normally run? Is it physical? Do you have people who are teaching them? How does it go? Do people have to pay for it? And does it only have to be USIU student, or are you just doing it in the USIU and anyone can join?
So in USIU, I mean, we are trying to do 50% USIU students, 50% it is open to outsiders. And the program, as of now, has been 100% free. We hope to keep it that way because, this is something we want to give people, like the education, the understanding skills without having to pay for them. So right now, anyone can apply. There's an application and we will have more future versions. For the program right now, we've partnered with a couple of companies, Google, IDEO, which I talked about earlier, Shofco as well, which is big in social impact in Kenya. So we have partnered with a few different organizations, and their leaders come and speak to us or in our class. Safaricom's another one we've been working with. And then we also have our internal design thinking experts. So we have like a guy called Leroy, who is Forbes 30 under 30 in Africa for design thinking. And he's been one of the trainers we've had. I've been helping with design thinking. And then some of our guest speakers have also been actually teaching as well. So it's been like a bit of a mesh of guest speakers, design experts, but it's working well. It's also fully in person. Well, the last version was fully in person at USIU. We're hoping next year to do probably 2 versions of the course, one online earlier in the year and then one in person, depending on people's individual goals and schedules.
Okay. Actually, attended on the last day of the design thinking program, and you guys were vetting startups or ideas which were being pitched by teams of people. And I remember you had like a list of 5 things that you were paying attention to. One was empathy. The other 4 I can't really remember, but can you just walk us down through those 5 things and why those things are very, very important in designing and creating a product or a company or something of the sort?
Of course, yeah. Design thinking does have 5 stages. So the first one is empathy, and that's what I've talked about a lot. That's really understanding the user, working with like a user, and feeling what they feel so that you come up with a final product that like really helps them. I think that's probably one of or the most important stage. Then the next one is actually defining the problem. So when you go into design thinking, you actually just go in to be like, I want to solve a problem for you. You don't think about what problem yet. So after you interview them, then you come up with the problem based on what the user has experienced. And so that's the second stage of design thinking, is defining the problem. And then once you've defined the problem, you have a problem in mind that you want to solve. The next stage is ideating. And this is where you like really get to be creative, which is fun. You can come up with like 100 possible solutions for the problem that you're trying to solve. And it's not like these solutions going anywhere. They're going onto like a sticky note probably. So you can come up with anything. They can be as crazy and cool as you want them to be. And you just, anything that comes to mind, you just put down basically. And it can be 100, 150, like as many as you can. And this is where group work is also really helpful because you can bounce ideas off each other. So that's the third stage, is ideation. Once you have an idea, you can go on to prototyping the idea. So once you've picked 1 or 2 of the ideation areas, you can prototype, which is like coming up with a quick, like fast, low cost product or like early version of a product where you can go back and like test with users,
Okay.
so that you don't put too much resources into it, and you'll change it if it doesn't work.
Yeah.
Often I think people come up with like a prototype which they put so much time, so much effort into, and at that point, even if it doesn't work for the user, you in your head try and make it like fit.
Yeah.
Whereas this is a very quick, fast, easy prototype that, you know, if it doesn't work, you're like, whatever, like it's 20 minutes of my time, like I will try again.
And move
So
to
that's
another
the fourth stage, and the last stage is testing. Yeah. And the last stage is testing, which is you take your prototype to the user and you're like, okay, let's try this out. Let's see whether it works.
Okay.
And then it's just a cycle, right? Test, and then you once again empathize. You're like, okay, this is what you need. This is what you don't. And then you will like come up with changes to that problem, and you just keep going in a circle until you come up with the perfect product.
Okay. So in a summary, if I got you right, the 5 step is empathy, defining the problem, ideation, prototyping, then testing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay.
Awesome. So what's your
5 stages of design thinking?
Okay.
Ever want to create a product? Come back to these.
Follow those 5 steps and you have a product.
Yeah, I think I'll take that to use because in our company, I'm head of product development, so I'll try and use it as much as I can. I'll do more research on it.
Yep.
So thank you.
Great, I love it. Of course. And when you come up with the perfect product, let me know.
Okay. And what is your vision of the program? So you started it in 2019, like you said, in high schools. Now you've already gone to you went to USIU, which is a campus. I think that was the first one at USIU, right? So what
Yes, that was
the vision for the program is you want to scale it up to be something like a Y Combinator or something of the sort? Like that's what you're looking for? Or?
So I think I'm looking for, and maybe this will change, but right now it's not to fund or be like an incubator.
Yeah.
Right now I'm hoping to, be the before where we're helping teams or individuals come up with the ideas and come up with like, basically the idea is I do want to do it. So one is making it more accessible would probably be the best combination.
Yeah.
Online being for people who are more busy, but want probably the physical in-person version being people who like, are in Kenya, come every week and want to really work on the project side of it as well.
Okay.
And in addition to that, I do want to go back to high schools. I think education, like, 3 to 18, especially early childhood, but high school as well is something I'm very passionate about.
Okay.
I think it's high school age is one of the best ages to mold thinking.
Yeah.
And so I would love to go back to high school and find a way to integrate design thinking whilst understanding that maybe starting a company is not on the minds of high schoolers, but trying to bring design thinking to them in a fun, accessible way.
Okay. And before we finish
That's
on
something that next year I'd love to include as well.
Nice. Before we finish on the entrepreneurship and the program side, are there any other programs or companies you've started both here locally, abroad? Any ideas that you've come up with or currently pursuing that you'd like to share?
Me, no. So I'm not pursuing any. I'm, very interested in the education part of entrepreneurship and innovation. I think I would love to turn this into a nonprofit in education, but no, I'm not working on any companies.
Okay. So
right now. So I'm about to start business school, so I'm excited.
Okay. Nice. Okay.
So as we turn away now from we've gone through your life at Stanford. You left Stanford, went to McKinsey. We've gone through your time now with the design thinking program. So let's soften up a bit. We want to know more about Ayushi as an individual. I've seen that you are a very good swimmer. When I was doing research, I've seen you actually said when you started that you participated also in competitions at Stanford while you were so young. So I want us to move more onto that side. So, but before we move to that side, just one last question. So Ayushi Chandaria, obviously we want to know you've grown up in a family where business has been one of the things that has been very championed. I think around, if you just mention that name, it's related to business. And people often want to know what advice will you pick from interacting and engaging with Chandaria? If I was sitting and I just wanted one valuable advice for business, what would I pick if I was to ask you what have you picked from being around Chandaria and the likes?
Okay, so I think I'm actually going to give 2 pieces of advice that I've received from my grandfather,
Yeah.
2 or 3. The first one being that you just have to be willing to put in the hard work. Like, you're not going to get anywhere until you're willing to put in the time and the effort yourself.
Okay.
I think that's just one that stuck with me. I know, like, no matter what, like, you're not going to achieve anything unless you put in, like, your blood. That's something I've seen and heard from my grandfather.
Yeah.
It's, you know, as much as you, like, finally, it's who you are as a person, how you, like, react to, like, situations in your life, how you react, like, talk to the people around you, that really shows who you are as who you are. And, you know, you're still you, no matter how much you achieve, and you have to treat people well, be humble about your achievements.
Yeah.
So I think that's the second one. And the last one, which I don't know if I've necessarily heard, but I've seen from my grandfather, is like, you're never too important, you're never too busy, or never too busy to, like, spend time and make family and friends a priority.
Okay.
And I've seen my grandfather do that, like, throughout time. When I was young, with, like, you know, my friends who have come visited Kenya, I've seen how, like, he'll always put in the extra effort just because they're my friends, or just because they're my, like, their family. No matter how busy he is, you know, he could be going to meet the president at 4, but he'll come and sit, have lunch with our family, like, 1 to 3 before.
Okay.
And I think that's something which I've just learned, like, seeing him, like, how to really prioritize, like, family, friends, like, be humble and be willing to put all your work in.
Okay.
So those are the 3 pieces of advice I receive.
Nice,
And
interesting.
I take to heart.
So work hard, be humble, and time for family and friends.
Friends. Yep. That's how we'll
Yeah.
summarize it.
Mm.
Yep. And what are the...
Yes.
I also like knowing so much what really influences someone, because, like, for us, when we started in business, we had not met some characters who have been very, very influential. For example, we were recently talking about how reading certain books have been very, very influential in our lives. So we do believe that meeting certain people, reading certain books, listening to certain podcasts, going through certain articles can really influence someone in particular ways. So we'd love to know so much what has influenced you to look at life and to think and to do your things in certain ways. What books, podcasts, articles, people would you point out someone to try and get what influenced you the most?
Yeah, so I'm actually going to go back to family and say family has influenced me the most.
Yeah.
I think it's the people, like, I've spent the most time with. I grow up, and it's not always seeing, like, the shiny, perfect moments in people's lives, but seeing how they deal with things, like seeing family members deal with things that are less than ideal,
Yeah.
and seeing them come out on the other side even stronger, which is what's, like, really inspired me.
Okay.
I think, you know, a big reason I'm wanting to do stuff in this more social impact and education sector in Kenya is just seeing, like, how my grandfather has done that and created so much impact. Crazily, like, the photographer at the final pitch session actually got, like, a scholarship from Chandaria Foundation, and that's what made him a photographer. And just hearing that, like, I realized, like, we've actually, like, there's so much impact that my grandfather has made,
Yeah.
and I just, like, want to do the same thing. So
Okay.
I think that's one of the big things. Other thing is, I think the people, I'm the kind of person, like, I do like reading, you know, books about people like Michelle Obama, whoever it is.
Yeah.
Michael Phelps, really into swimming, but I
Yeah.
do think for me it's the people I know as opposed to, like, people I read about, because I think a book sometimes shows a one-sided curated version of a person's life.
Yeah.
Whereas when you know a person, you see everything, and you, like, I think that's what I generally get inspired by, seeing how people react in different situations, and, like, you know, seeing that, okay, this is something I admire in someone I know, and this
Yeah.
is what I want to try and emulate in my own life.
Okay. Interesting.
Because for us, at the same time, we tend to learn a lot from both our failures and failures of other people, and we take it as not really a failure, but a lesson that you've learned, something that has added to your arsenal, such that you cannot repeat that mistake yet again. What about you? Are there any failed entrepreneurships or programs you started that didn't really take off, and you learned from it and improved from there? Are there any that you can point out to at your young age?
Paperstone is an award-winning online global forex and CFD broker. It offers unparalleled service, exceptional pricing, and quick execution speed.
Yeah, so I'll say that I've tried numerous initiatives, especially in Kenya, and like some of them worked, some of them didn't. I started a paraplegic swim team, and not that I think it was like things didn't work. I just think it was very tough. I was only like 16 maybe, trying to navigate like the world of adults, like, you know, Kenya, the Olympic Committee, Kenya Swimming Federation. And I definitely think there were times when things like didn't happen the way we wanted them to. And I remember just thinking, look, this is like, I'm looking at a big picture. This one competition that didn't work out the way we wanted, or this one funding opportunity. So I would look at it being like, okay, I'm looking at the whole thing in the grand scheme of things. This is such a small thing, like to keep just pushing forward. Yeah. And then most recently, like with the design program in high schools, the program's new, but given, you know, understanding that COVID was a new thing for the world, students couldn't even get to that like regular maths and English lessons. Design thinking wasn't in the picture for like most high school students. I think that was something which and demotivating for me, thinking, look, all this work won't turn into anything. But that's when I like reflected and realized, look, maybe a university program, which, you know, if something does go wrong, most people have access to internet, a computer, like, and can do that's how I used it to transition and try and like grow the program even bigger. So I think it worked on. It's not a failure. It's a small thing in like the long journey eventually.
Okay. So, and swimming, I'd love to know more about your swimming. At what age did you start swimming? How did you develop that? Did you have any daily routine, a trainer or something? Or it's just something that you started and you picked up, became a hobby, you became good at it and thrived at it? Or it's something, how was it, your swimming life? Let's talk about your swimming life.
Terrified of the water. I wouldn't put a toe into this. I did end up learning to swim quite late, at almost 8 years old. But it just like worked. You know, I did my first competition at 8. I won a bronze medal. I think I still have it at home somewhere. Gold medal. And that's where I really realized I enjoy swimming. This is something I'm good at as well. And, you know, it was just a progression, like progressing up the ranks in my school team. And at some point, I was swimming in Nairobi because I would spend, like, my family lives there. So I'd spend a lot of my summers and holidays in Kenya. And I was just told by a swimming coach in Nairobi, like, wow, you know, you're really good. What are your times? I proceeded to send him my swimming times from my club in Singapore. And the next thing we know is I got an invitation for Kana Zone 3 and 4, which is like a junior national team event for Kenya. And after that, you know, swimming became like a big part of my life. I would swim twice a day, some days, maybe 8 or 9 times a week for 2 hours each. You know, outside of school, the main sessions, I would swim in Kenya or with the national team. And, you know, been able to travel. Like, I've been to Doha, Hong Kong. Like, I've been to lots of places, like with the national team. And then with my school team, a lot of Southeast Asia. So swimming has been something which, like, you know, taught me discipline, hard work, but also something which has given me, like, the opportunity to travel, meet really interesting people. My roommate at one of the competitions in Dubai was actually went to the Olympics for Kenya in like last year. So just like being able to look on TV and be like, I shared a room with this girl was very cool.
Amazing. Okay. So we're actually coming to the last questions. I think we have about 2 or 3 more questions. So currently you're still not joined Harvard Business School, but I'm assuming, or at least from my research, I've seen that you're supposed to be joining Harvard Business School, or you're planning to join Harvard Business School. That's what I'd say. Right or wrong?
Yeah, I am.
Okay.
I'm actually moving to Boston next week to start business school.
Nice. Congratulations.
Congratulations on that one. So you're going to pursue what and why did you choose Harvard Business School? I think those are my last questions.
Okay, so I'm actually going to pursue my MBA. I'll be the class of 2024, so starting this year, graduating in 2024.
Okay.
And my reason for so is, I've dabbled in I did technology. I went to Stanford, so Silicon Valley, high tech, engineering, that science. That's what I went to school in, and I think that I have a family background in business. Also, I realized I do want to eventually do my own thing, or would love to if that works out. So I think just going to business school is one way to figure out what other opportunities there are out there for me, and also to figure out is joining my family business, is starting my own thing, what do I want to do next? It'll hopefully give me more clarity on that, which is why I want to go to business school, do my MBA. I also haven't had any real education in business, given I did product design, computer science. So I thought this was a good way to learn about business too.
Okay.
Business school is also meant to be fun, so I'm very excited for that. And then I chose Harvard because I was on the West Coast for 4 years of undergrad, and I just wanted a different experience of being on the East Coast. So that's why I worked at McKinsey in New York too.
Okay.
And then I decided I want 2 more years on the East Coast, just experiencing the culture. It is different from the West Coast. Also, just being less around only technology and engineering, I think would just give me a more diverse, which is why I decided Harvard.
Okay.
And is it a long process to get into Harvard, or what advice can you give someone if they want to come to Stanford or Harvard?
It's a good question.
I think planning is really important. I think it's important to talk to people who've been there, who have graduated from there, find out their experience, and start early. I think that's a really good piece of advice that I would give people. I think on my side, I started planning pretty early. I did my GMAT, which is an exam you need for business school, also really early, and I applied 2 years before I actually went, which was just because I wanted to know what I was going to do.
Okay.
I will say COVID worked in my favor.
Yeah.
I was applying around the time the whole world was in lockdown, so there was nothing really else to do.
Okay.
And so I did put a lot of effort into the application. But I'll say advice would be start, we're all busy, to be able to get the best application out, unless you whilst living your life and doing other stuff, the best thing to do is just start early.
Okay. So start early, guys.
Be truly passionate about it.
Okay.
Yeah, start early, make a plan, and work towards it.
Okay.
And I think that's my advice with everything in life. Even this design program that launched in USIU.
Yeah.
I started planning and speaking to people in November of 2021. And we launched the program in May of 2022. So I will say the best thing is to just plan early.
Okay.
That way, you have space for things not to work out.
Okay.
True.
And turn around and still fix it, move on. Because something will always go not according to plan.
Yeah.
And you don't want to be left behind.
Yeah. Sure. So I just sum it up. Okay. So I think we have covered much of the questions that we had. Ayushi has taken us through her experiences in business. We're very, very grateful. First of all, thanks a lot, Ayushi, for showing up and for creating time for us to share with us your experiences and to advise our audience and to share with our audience what you've been working on. So I think the only thing that I'd ask for is you attach. So if guys are interested in the design thinking program, I think there's the Instagram page, Design Thinking Program. I think we'll attach links to that also. So if you're interested in joining the design thinking program or getting updates on what is going on with the design thinking program, you can use that resource. And I think if you're interested in connecting maybe with Ayushi or trying to meet her up, you can check her out on LinkedIn. She has a LinkedIn page, so you can try and connect with her there. Her social media handles, if she's interested, she can share them. If she's not in social media and she's not interested in sharing also, I'll leave that to her to tell us finally, and then we can stop the show.
Amazing. I am running with someone else in the design thinking program. I'm running the Instagram. So if you just DM the design thinking program Instagram, I'm happy to respond.
Okay. So you guys have heard where you can link up with Ayushi if you're interested in knowing anything. So I think from us, that's it. We'll catch you guys in the next show. Thanks a lot, Ayushi.
Thanks, Ayushi, for coming.
Thank you. It was a pleasure to be on the show.
You're welcome.
Bye.
Bye.
See ya.
Thank you. Bye. Have a good evening, Saturday evening for you.
Have a good day for you.
Have a good day for you. Okay.
Thank you very much for watching Financial Hub's content on YouTube. For more Forex analysis, financial education, podcasts, and exclusive content, be sure to subscribe.